What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. This is Legitical Response. Now, folks, if you ever wanted to know why, maybe you should think twice before sending your kids to college, especially to one of these liberal colleges. Check this out.
Guys are smarter than girls. You got some serious problems. That's what frustrates me. There are going to be some males in our society that will refuse to vote for a potential female president because they don't think females are smart enough to be president. We could line all those guys up and shoot them. They clearly don't understand the way the world works. Did I say that? Scratch that from the recording. I don't want the deans hearing that I said that.
Yeah, so that's just outright insane. This is what these people are teaching. This is how deranged these people are with Donald Trump. They're freaking loony. They've lost a couple of bolts, a couple of screws loose. Something has come out of their brain, and they are totally deranged with Donald Trump to where they take the communist line. Let's just line them up and put a bullet in these people. That is outright insane. And you know what? I was going to cover that story. I wanted to play the clip for sure to get that out there because I think people need to know about this information. And that's what this channel is all about. Just getting the facts out there, or at least trying to. Of course, I give my opinion. And, you know, hey, my opinion is what it is. I'm not asking you to agree with my opinions or anything, but I do put out the facts. And I do put out the information that the people need to know. And stuff like that, like the corporate press, the mainstream news, they're not going to talk about that. So if you watch CNN or Fox News or any place like this, you're probably not going to hear about that specifically. This guy's been suspended. There's several congressmen. I read the news article, but I'm not going to cover it because I got something else to get into. But he's suspended currently, but there's several Republicans come out. No Democrats, by the way. No Democrats have come out and condemned this at all yet, but Republicans have come out and said this guy needs to be fired. I totally agree with that. We need to get people like this. These are sick individuals. They have Trump derangement syndrome. There currently is no cure. There's no kind of medicine, nothing to ease the symptoms, none of that. Like, well, for a little while, we thought that maybe just the pure, unadulterated facts would help these people, but no, they'll just call you a liar and say that you made that up, like you're making up facts, right? Like they live in a totally different reality. So any normal means of trying to get them to come back to reality, it just doesn't seem to work on these people. But enough of my rambling, right? Let's go ahead and get into this news story because this one is outright insane as well. Check this out, y'all. Republicans blast Biden administration over Afghan national charged in election day terror plot. So, this is one of those people that the Biden administration failed to vet with the disastrous Afghanistan withdrawal. So this thing, it's like the gift that keeps on giving, right? Afghanistan, the withdrawal from Afghanistan was like three controversies wrapped up into one, right? You had the withdrawal itself, you had Abbey-gate, you had Biden checking his watch at the dignified transfer, and then even more recently, you had the Donald Trump scandal where they tried to claim that, oh, well, you're not supposed to take pictures in this certain area of Arlington National Cemetery. All right, it's not supposed to be for political purposes. That's what the mainstream news kept saying. Well, you're not supposed to campaign in a cemetery, in this specific cemetery, right? Well, like, who said that it was a campaign? Once again, it was another Donald Trump hoax because these people are outright deranged. They're freaking Looney Tunes. They don't know what the hell they're talking about. They just assume that he's there for campaign reasons when he was actually asked by the Gold Star families to go. So this Afghanistan deal just is the gift that keeps on giving. They failed to vet this guy, and he was going to show up to a polling place and just start blasting people. That's right. Just random, like, doesn't matter. And we know for the most part, Republicans, for the majority, they are the ones that show up on election day. More Democrats vote by mail. Now, I'm not saying Democrats don't show up to polling places on election day. They most certainly do, but the vast majority of people that show up is actually Republicans. A lot more Democrats vote by mail these days. But let's get into this story. This one is crazy, y'all. Congressional Republicans attacked the Biden-Harris administration on Tuesday night after the Justice Department charged an Afghan national who was allowed into the country following the U.S.'s shaky withdrawal from Afghanistan over an alleged terror plot on Election Day. Nassar Ahmed Tahedi, 27, was arrested by the FBI on Monday and charged with multiple crimes, including conspiring and attempting to provide material support to ISIS, according to the Justice Department announcement on Tuesday. Tawhidi has been legally in the United States since September 9, 2021, after he was granted special parole permission to enter the country during Operation Allies Refuge following the U.S. withdrawal from Afghanistan. A senior U.S. official speaking on the condition of anonymity told Just the News. Republican Iowa Senator Chuck Grassley slammed the administration for hiding behind a classification excuse in a social media post. FBI arrested Afghan national for plotting ISIS-inspired terror attack after entry on a SIV visa in 2021, Grassley posted to X. I was vocal critic of lack of vetting by Biden-Harris administration of SIV visas and took a lot of heat. The administration hid behind classification excuse. You see why vetting and oversight is so important. Sorry for those slip-ups right there, y'all. House Homeland Security Chairman Mark Green and GOP Texas Rep August Flunger issued a joint statement on the arrest on X, claiming the House committee had warned of terrorism from border crossings multiple times. Now, I'm not sure what the hell, they start talking about border crossings. This specifically has nothing to do with that, but they are correct, right? I covered the story a little while back. We've caught almost 400 people on the terror watch list that have come across that southern border, right? And there's so many gotaways, people that just sneak across the border and we never know about. There's estimates are almost the same as the amount of people that they've just allowed into the country illegally, right? Those estimates are in the millions. It's outright insane to think that we've only caught that many, I think it was 387, I believe, if I remember correctly. But to think that none have got away, right? We should be looking at every corner, every nook and cranny. We should be vetting all these people that come in, but they have turned down the vetting process on these people, and that is outright dangerous. You can't do that. You can't just allow these people to come in from anywhere and everywhere. I mean, we've had tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands, of Chinese nationals coming into this country, right? That could be a problem right there, considering we've caught several spies that have been working in government for decades at this point, right? We need to do better checks of these people, but the Biden administration does not care. They're all about the giant virtue signal. That's all they're about. That's all they do. It's sickening to watch the border crisis go on, and these people say, oh, the border's fine, y'all. Yeah, tell that to the people living down there in South Texas, right? Tell that to the people in Springfield who are now having to deal with a bunch of garbage because of some of these migrants that they allowed into the country. When tens of thousands of insufficiently vetted individuals are let into the interior, this is the inevitable result, the lawmakers wrote. This committee has repeatedly warned of the terror threat stemming from the Biden-Harris administration's failed leadership and disastrous border policies. Unfortunately, our calls for transparency regarding the inadequate vetting and screening following the catastrophic withdrawal from Afghanistan continue to go unanswered, and here, Americans almost paid the price. That's right. Shout out to the FBI for catching this guy. But, it makes you wonder how many more of these people are in the country. To think that all of the hundreds of millions of people that are in this country, of the tens of millions of illegals in this country, who's to say that there's only one person that was planning some sort of terror attack? Right? The FBI needs to step it up, y'all. I am not all about surveillance. I don't like the surveillance state. But at this point, because of the Biden border crisis, we kind of need some surveillance going on, at least for right now, and find some of these people. We need Donald Trump, to be honest with you, because he's going to come in and he's going to start with the criminals, deporting these people, getting them out of the country. And that's what needs to happen. A lot of people are yelling and screaming and gnashing their teeth. Oh, look, and they're Nazis, y'all. They're Nazis. They're coming. The Gestapo's coming to take your kids away. That's what they're trying to portray, like it's some sort of 1930s Germany type of ish going on here. But no, that's not the case. He's going to go after criminals, and he's going to do it through the National Guard and mostly through local law enforcement. He's said this several times. That's where we start. That's where it needs to happen. Get the criminals out first and then sort everybody else out. Because a lot of these people that are coming, they just want a better life. And that is true. Now, we need better policies. Joe Biden has stepped up his policies, which has slowed down the flow a lot. And I wonder why he done that. Maybe there's an election coming up, and maybe he knows what's at stake for them if they lose their grip on power. These people are outright insane. They are willing to burn this country to the ground to keep themselves in power. That's what Joe Biden has been showing his entire presidency, right? Like, it is hard to argue with the fact that Joe Biden has been the worst president in United States history, just outright, with all the garbage, the Afghanistan withdrawal, the border crisis, the student loan forgiveness, like the Supreme Court telling him no, he's doing it anyway, the vax mandates, the electric car mandates, funding foreign wars all over the damn place. It's been outright outrageous, and that's only a small bit of everything Joe Biden's done. I've got an exhaustive list of articles on my channel. If you want to see everything Joe Biden's done, just start scrolling through, and every time you see a thumbnail with Joe Biden, click on that video, and I'm sure it'll be something different. There are several videos of border crisis videos, but it's just been nuts. Like his green agenda, right? Like most of that went through for the Inflation Reduction Act. They called it the Inflation Reduction Act. So when people hear it on the news, they're like, oh, he's trying to reduce inflation. Well, guess what, folks? The Inflation Reduction Act that they love to tout had nothing to do with reducing inflation. As a matter of fact, if you looked into the bill, a lot of economists said that it's going to raise inflation. And as a matter of fact, the American Rescue Plan was the Inflation Induction Act, is what they should have called it, because it induced 9% inflation. That was the American Rescue Plan. As a matter of fact, my next video, we're going to kind of get into that, because our deficit spending, it's been refigured. I put it that way. And it's higher. It's not lower. So it's not getting better. But the American Rescue Plan, several economists said this is going to raise inflation. And guess what? Inflation went up to 9%. Then they do the Inflation Reduction Act. And guess what that did? You think that was the cause for inflation going down? No, it wasn't. It absolutely wasn't, because it was nothing but spending garbage, right? Most of it was Green New Deal stuff, like the EV mandates. Joe Biden's Clean Neighbor rule is insane. I talk about this one all the time. But we've gotten off topic. Let's get back to the video right quick. Get back to this article. Wisconsin GOP Rep Tom Tiffany also took to social media to criticize the current administration. Biden and Harris let an Afghan national into our country who was plotting an election day terrorist attack. How many more are in our neighborhoods? Tiffany questioned in a post on X. The criticism comes after the Homeland Security Inspector General's office and members of Congress previously raised grave concerns about the way the Biden administration vetted Afghan refugees who were let into the country after the withdrawal. Charging documents in the new case allege that Tawhidi attempted to purchase semi-automatic firearms and ammunition in order to carry out the attack, and even had plans to resettle his family overseas ahead of the planned November 5th attack. At least one co-conspirator was also referenced, but was not identified because they were a minor. So, guess what? Like, this is insane. Let's keep going. Yeah, I've read this story out. This is nuts. Watch. It is not clear whether the attack would have taken place, but Tawhidi allegedly Googled how to access Washington, D.C. cameras and which U.S. state does not require relations to get a firearm, whatever the hell that means, and visited the White House and Washington Monument webcams in July. Tawhidi also allegedly admitted the plot in a post-arrest interview with investigators and stated that they planned to target large gatherings of people and that both him and the undisclosed minor expected to be martyred and die during their attack. How sick of an individual do you have to be to take a child with you to go and kill people and expect for yourself and that child to be martyred, to be killed? Right? Like, you're not going to be a martyr. I'm sorry. You're going to be seen as an evil person, and, I'm a Christian, so you'll probably go to hell, to be honest with you. I hate to say it that way, but, that's just my opinion. Let me know what you think down in the comments section. But that's insane. You're going to take a child and go and shoot up an election, like a polling place. Really? Like, what the hell is wrong with people? Like, and it's not only that. Some of these people, some of their religious beliefs lead them to do stuff like this. What really gets me is the Biden administration. Why they would turn down the vetting process just lacks the requirements for getting into this country legally. Just say, screw it. Right? Like, we've seen several stories of them relaxing their vetting process for some of these unaccompanied minors that they lost because they are letting these kids go with gang members outright. Like, some of them were MS-13 gang members known. And it wasn't that was an accident, right? Like, we covered this. It wasn't, they didn't accidentally just give these kids to MS-13 gang members. They were known MS-13 gang members. That blew my freaking mind. I was surprised because that was another one of those stories. I didn't read it all the way through. I read the first few paragraphs and I was like, gotta cover this. And then as we're reading through this thing, I'm seeing that, hang on, they knew that this person was an MS-13 gang member and they gave these children to this person anyway as foster care. It's just outright insane. And then they just so happen to lose touch with these kids. Over 300,000 kids. That's nuts, y'all. That is outright nuts. And it's disgraceful. And once again, it's another check in the box of the reasons why Joe Biden is the worst president in United States history. Like, is that really what he wanted? Like, Joe Biden has had a long career. He was vice president for a 2-term president, and then he's going to come in and just completely just destroy his legacy, because that's exactly what he's done. And Kamala Harris is riding on the coattails of Joe Biden, and it's showing in the polls right now. Like, as far as the poly market, the betting odds and all that, Donald Trump is up. Kamala Harris comes out on that 60-minute interview we covered yesterday, and yeah, the polls are showing, like, the actual polling is going to be showing here pretty soon, because Kamala Harris is inadequate. I'll just put it that way. I'll try to be as nice as possible. She's inadequate. She doesn't have the qualifications to be the United States president, for crying out loud. Every single time she gets asked a question, she gives garbled nonsense as an answer. She refuses to answer questions. She keeps going on all these shows like, hey, I'm here drinking a beer with Stephen Colbert, going on The View, going here and going there, just giving non-answers, just giving this word salad nonsense crap, and everybody that pays attention to politics is like, what in the is going on with this? Like, is she really serious? Is she really trying to become president? Like, because it seems like she's sabotaging her campaign by doing this. But the most amazing thing about this is there's still people showing up to her rallies. There's still people online that says, yeah, go Kamala Harris. I made a short video earlier. I would suggest you guys go check it out. I made a Trump ad. That's right. As a matter of fact, I'll go ahead and play that right now.
Would you have done something differently than President Biden during the past 4 years?
There is not a thing that comes to mind in terms of, and I've been a part of most of the decisions that have had impact.
I'm Donald Trump, and I approve this message.
That is it's just nuts, y'all. Like, that's the funniest video I think I've ever produced, to be honest with you. Like, and the idea just came to me. I was like, hey, I'm going to slap these two things together because this is just great. Like, Kamala Harris doesn't know what she's doing, and we are expected to allow her to run the country? Are you freaking kidding me? Look what they've been doing for the past 4 years. It's been outright insanity. It's just been one failure after another failure after another failure, and now she's wanting a promotion, for crying out loud. Who in the hell thinks this is how reality works? Nobody! Nobody thinks this is how reality works, but yet she is trying. She is asking the American people, and guess what, folks? She has a damn good chance of becoming president. Oh my God, that's right, shadow campaign, folks. If you haven't seen my shadow campaign video as to what Democrats did in 2020, right at the end of this video, right here, there's going to be a link to a video I made. Go watch that video. It's enlightening as hell. Now, it was done a couple of months ago, and I've been getting better at doing this because, like I've always said, I'm not a talkative person. I'm not a camera person. I've had to train myself how to do this, how to get in front of a camera and start talking. And I'm getting better and better and better and better and better at this, at conveying my thoughts to you guys just outright. I don't script none of these videos. I'm sure the longtime viewers know that. I don't script this. It just comes right off the top of my head. That's what I'm training to do. I'm still currently in training. I'm getting better as we speak, right? So what is just outright crazy is she wants a freaking promotion. That is mind-blowing to me. Just outright mind-blowing. This story is mind-blowing. And remember this, folks. These people have allowed for this stuff to take place, right? The corporate press and the mainstream news, they'll get out there and call Donald Trump a liar constantly when he'll give an opinion statement, and then they'll say, oh, he's lying. Fact check. It's wrong. FEMA isn't giving illegal immigrants money from emergency funds. No, of course, but FEMA did allocate money and gave it to illegal immigrants because it was an emergency, and that's what FEMA does. But they don't tell you that stuff. They just say, oh, Donald Trump's lying. Right? Like the cats and the dogs thing. That was the biggest, fact check campaign I've seen in my entire life. And guess what, folks? They got it wrong. They can't come out and say that's false. That's not happening. There is evidence. There's no proof outright, but we showed the evidence on this channel. Right? We showed that video taken from over a year ago of a guy that lives next door to a Congolese immigrant that looked like he had a cat on the freaking grill. That's what it looks like. That's evidence, folks. There's also 911 calls, several 911 calls, where people say that there's a migrant in this park and he's beheading ducks. He's killing these ducks and taking them off, and geese. It's just mind-blowing that instead of these places, the corporate press and the mainstream news, instead of actually getting an investigative journalist or somebody to go out and try to investigate this to get the truth, they'll ask a bureaucrat. Say, hey, is this going on? Bureaucrat says, nope. And then they'll be like, fact check, Donald Trump's a liar. Well, hang on. Let's at least look into this. Let's at least check and see, but they don't do that, folks. Let's ask a bureaucrat. Oh, the city manager said it's not happening. Well, how do you know that city manager got reports of this happening? Right? There's 911 calls. It's just nuts what they do. And that's what I'm here for, folks, because I'm tired of the lies of the corporate press. I'm tired of the manipulations. I'm tired of all this garbage. And I'm trying to get the facts out there. So if y'all could do me a big favor, smash that like button for me. Subscribe to this channel if you not. And share this video anywhere and everywhere you can. X, Facebook, Instagram, everywhere. Truth Social, wherever you can, share this video, get the truth out. Because the corporate press doesn't want to cover news stories like this because it looks bad on the administration. Because the corporate press, the mainstream news, is nothing but left-wing activists. So take that bias for what it's worth. I have my bias, but you guys know I'm biased. And at least I will give you the facts and then tell you what I think about it. But I think I've made my point quite clear. Y'all let me know what y'all think about all this down in the comments section. I imagine you guys have some opinions on this, so put them down in the comments. I want to thank everybody for watching, and y'all try to have a good day. Stay legitical. Peace.